Second biggest accomplishment now. So I'm just going to read the beginning of this piece. It's a short story called When You're Them. They had been together for 11 months. Technically, there could have been a baby by now. He was not one to measure time by pregnancies, but it occurred to him as he knocked over her birth control while placing his deodorant in the medicine cabinet they would now share. These 11 months had been really great. That was what he always said. Things were really great. She's really great. And she was really great. She was in the kitchen going through boxes. Neither he nor she had thought to put on music. And in the silence, he was shocked at how clearly he could hear her. He could hear her patient breaths as she carefully sifted the shattered wine glasses that had broken in the truck on the way over to this part of town. He had said he was sorry for driving so carelessly. She said it was fine. She said they were just glasses. And she meant it. Not like when other women say it's fine, and it's not fine. It's not even remotely fine. That was one of the things that made her really great. She didn't get upset about broken wine glasses. In fact, as he picked up her oval pink container off the tiled bathroom floor, he couldn't think of anything in the last 11 months that she had gotten upset about. He moved his deodorant to make way for her birth control. He could feel the quiet. It was May and the windows were open and it smelled like a graduation ceremony. It was in that moment that his neck began to itch, and he thought that while these 11 months had been really great, they'd also been really fast. 11 months ago, he was 29 and he liked dating. He liked dating and he had no reason to apologize for that. He was never cruel or rude. He was clear and casual. He liked dating. That was until Josh proposed to Amy, Dave moved in with Rachel, and Eli started sleeping with Charlie and no other guys. That was when dating somehow, without him noticing, had gone out of style. They had met at Josh and Amy's wedding last June. Of course, they had known about each other before then. She came up in conversations all the time. He was Josh's best man. She was Amy's close family friend that had just moved here from Chicago. She was also a bridesmaid. Because Amy was in one, Amy liked couples. You need to stop dating these girls, Amy had said. Amy always said girls with so much disdain, he wondered if she thought herself another gender. Amy didn't like those girls, whom he rarely brought around, not because they weren't good enough or fun enough, but because Amy herself had not selected them. Amy also called them these girls because Amy could never remember their names. All I'm saying is that if we're going to have to hang out with this bitch for the rest of our lives, shouldn't we at least get to throw in some candidates? This is when she would come up in conversations. So he was not surprised to see her name snuggled next to his, plate to plate, at Josh and Amy's rehearsal dinner. She had a tight body with warm-looking skin and a ballerina neck. Her hair was up, and he noticed that she had a motivating smile. It was closed-mouthed, but wide and united with enthusiastic eyes. She looked better than most of her Facebook photos. They introduced themselves and pretended not to notice the rest of the long table watching them like a horse race. Over courses of salmon and beet salad, they pretended to learn the things they had already known about each other. They were both consultants for competing firms, which meant they couldn't talk about each other's work but understood them. They had both run the New York Marathon, but in different years. They both loved football, but different teams. And they both went to that kind of college and that kind of business school and were shocked that they hadn't met before, because the world is small when you're them. Just after they cracked the tops of creme brulees with Josh and Amy's initials torched into them, and just before he left with the boys to get drunk at Josh's hotel suite, he told her he had really enjoyed this. She said she did too, and would see him tomorrow, and then she smiled with her mouth closed. He was more moved by the wedding than he thought he'd be. The smiles, that's what got him. He'd seen Josh and Amy smile at each other 100 times, but never with this kind of purpose. It made a warm circle in his chest, as if he were drinking hot chocolate too fast. He was envious. He waited, like he always did, for the song Shout. Every wedding, when you're them, plays Shout. It's a waspy Hava Nagila. It leaves you sweaty and tired, and most importantly, a little too aware that you've just been dancing, and it's the perfect time for a break. So he waited for Shout, and he asked her if she wanted to get a drink and go outside. She did. It took him 3 drinks, 1 for her and 2 for him, before he kissed her. She had to run to the restroom, and he grabbed a bottle from behind an unsuspecting bartender, but they didn't drink it. When she came back, she said she had to leave for Dallas for the next day for work, and would he want to get together for a drink when she was back in the city next week? He said he would. They exchanged numbers, kissing twice, and she left him grinning into a bottle of champagne. In July, they had 3 Thursday night dates. He wasn't in the city on weekends because when you're them, no one is in the city on weekends. The first date was drinks at a bar he had read about in a magazine. She wore a green dress and they didn't have sex. The second date was more of a get-together. Josh and Amy had people over for drinks on their new roof. They didn't arrive together and they made out on the walk home, but they didn't have sex. That weekend, he had sex with a girl he met at a barbecue on the beach, and he felt terrible about it, even though he had no reason to. The third Thursday, he made her dinner at his apartment, and he discovered in the morning that she had somehow managed to pack a full change of clothes into her purse. She came down to the summer share for the rest of the weekends to hang with his friends. He liked that she liked to party. The sex was good and frequent. They would call each other for it often, after Tuesday night happy hours, after Wednesday night client dinners, after Friday nights with the boys, and Saturday nights with the girls, even after brunch. They would devour each other in active, sweaty silence. He wanted to talk dirty, but he never did. He wondered now if she had wanted him to be a dirty talker. That's it. Thanks.